Hey everyone, welcome to this edition of the wealthmanagement.com Fast Chat. I'm David Armstrong, the editor of wealthmanagement.com. I'm here with Dr. Vian Sharif, who is the head of sustainability for FNZ. Dr. Sharif, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, first of all, tell us a little bit. FNZ is the global platform provider, wealth management sector. Tell us just a little bit about the business and what you do, what your mission is.
Sure, David. So FNZ has created what we like to call Wealth Growth Platform. It's the only global end-to-end wealth management platform in the industry. And we are the underlying infrastructure for the savings and wealth management industry. And what we've tried to do is merge a really easy to use advisor and end client experience with very sophisticated investment administration and business operations. And we are truly global. We have operations in 21 countries, serving over 650 global institutional customers like banks, broker-dealer firms, asset managers, trust companies, and over 10,000 RIAs and independent advisors. So in total, we have around $1.5 trillion worth of assets under administration. We've always thought of our platform as a digital-first solution. It's 100% cloud native, so our customers are always working on the latest version of the platform instead of waiting for complex releases. What we're trying to do is free up time for those users so that they can focus on what really matters to them, whilst also offering a highly personalized journey for their end users, their clients, and saving cost for them.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. Sustainability obviously becoming more important for investors and advisors. Tell us a little bit about the role that FNZ plays from a sustainability perspective and how you're supporting some of the investors who are trying to achieve some of those values-based or ESG goals.
Sure. Well, if we start at the overarching mission for FNZ, it's always been to open up wealth, helping all people to invest in an easy to use way. So the sustainability part of this, the accessibility part of this, apart from democratizing access to wealth, is helping investors increasingly interested in understanding the impact of their investments to actually see the impact of their investments on the world around them and empower their advisors and wealth managers to support those conversations. So really, this is about saying, what is it that you care about as an individual, and the advisor hearing that and starting to give the advisor the tools to enable a view of the impact of those investments, the impact of those investments on the values that the customer really cares about. So to give you a size of the opportunity we have before us, 66% of retail investors want to invest sustainably. Only 10% do. So there's a retail sustainable investment gap. And if we think about the fact that around half of the world's $120 trillion is managed on behalf of median income households, just like ours, we have a vast opportunity ahead of us.
Can you give us a little bit of an example or get into some details about how you do that? How do you equip the investors, the advisors with this data, with this information to make these decisions?
Of course, yeah. So this is a very personalized solution. It follows along the lines of the direct indexing views and journeys that we've started to see come to the fore in the US. So ultimately, our end users are retail investors who invest their savings or pensions with a wealth manager. So when you or I log in to view our portfolio results, or we interact with our advisor or make a trade on the platform, FNZ is the technology that powers that whole experience. Previously, without FNZ Impact, and indeed in most wealth platforms, you'd go online and just see your portfolio's financial results. But with FNZ Impact, you can now, for the first time, see financial results as usual, but also the impact your investments are having on the world, on the things you care about, whether that's climate, whether that's diversity, whether that's human rights. You can actually see that in terms of easily relatable insights, your carbon footprint, the percentage of women on the boards of the companies in which you're invested, for example. So really, this accompanies the shift in financial services, which is moving away from simple investment selection and much more towards goal-based financial planning, incorporating the things that clients really care about.
You talked about the gap, the investment gap between the retail clients that want these kinds of investments and the fact that they're not really investing them in that way, largely because I think financial advisors have some skepticism. They don't really know how to bring up these topics with their clients. They don't know how to engage in those conversations. How susceptible, or how do you think the U.S. market is going to be towards solutions like what you're providing?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And what the data is telling us is that the US market is very receptive. We all know that public consciousness is out there. Financially engaged younger generations and intergenerational wealth transfer are all contributing to the increase in demand for sustainable investment solutions. So a bit of data. According to a Schroders survey published in September of this year, 58% of US investors, and that's including 65% of US millennials, that's those aged between 22 and 41, they believe that investing sustainably is the only way to ensure profitability for the long term, which is an interesting stat. So the journey to supporting this through FNZ Impact, I think, is supporting clients on their journey. So we're very excited to see how this is going to be taken up.
So I'm wondering what role financial services in general can play towards creating a more sustainable future like you're talking about. We know that investing this way sometimes can make clients feel good and it's, they think they're doing the right thing. But overall, can we make structural changes? Can financial services play a role in creating a more sustainable future?
David, I really believe that this is possible. And if we think about the great responsibility that we have in our hands, that $1.5 trillion worth of assets under management alone, if we think about that in a broader context, the reallocation of capital from generic investments towards more tailored investments in line with what actually matters to clients from a sustainability perspective is it's a tremendous opportunity to creating a more sustainable world. There are a lot of challenges. So how do we make sure that we have the most robust, transparent data possible? How do we evidence that this trajectory of investing more sustainably can contribute to better outcomes in line with people's goals and taking into account all of the other parameters of their investments? But also, really, this is about empowering the investor, the end investor, to take control, have greater control and transparency of where they're invested. That's key to achieving sustainable outcomes that we all want for the longer term. And this is where solutions like FNZ Impact have a role to play.
That's fantastic. Dr. Vian Sharif, Head of Sustainability at FNZ, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.